What's up, guys? Just want to talk a little NBA. We're only a few days away from the NBA draft coming up here on Thursday, and figure to give a little bit of a preview. Uh, you know, who is really the number one overall pick? Is there anybody in this class that's going to be a superstar? I all think we feel like we know who's going to be the number one overall pick. Phoenix holds it for the first time in franchise history. Who are they going to team up with Devin Booker? And I think the most sense makes with DeAndre Ayton, center out of Arizona. Dude's an absolute beast. He really fits the mold of today's NBA. Big guy that can really rebound, run the floor, can stretch it out to the three. He's a monster. He's 7'1", and he's got a little touch of old school too, because he can work down there on the block as well. I think he really excels down there on the block. He can't really stretch it all the way to three. I'd say about a 14 to 16-foot jumper, but he's not completely glued to the block like Okafor was in college. But the dude's an absolute monster. So I think he's the sure consensus no one overall pick. Um, you look at it, you want to team somebody up with Devin Booker, and Phoenix has had chance after chance over the years. They really haven't hit on a lot of their draft picks. I mean, they got Booker, and he fell to them in the mid-teens. I think he was 13th overall, if I'm not mistaken, but they had two top picks. I think it was 2 years ago, and they took Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris. Two projects, centers that didn't really work out. They have Alex Len, who was a high draft pick as well. Hasn't really worked out either, so they really struggled. I like TJ Warren out there, but in order to keep Booker there in Phoenix for long term, you're going to have to give him another guy to really work with. And it would work well with his game because you work inside out with DeAndre Ayton and get him down on the block. Going to be a guy that's going to eat up, get some boards, be able to stretch the floor a little bit. So why not have another building block and go with DeAndre Ayton? Two is where it gets interesting, and I think it always is interesting with the Sacramento Kings. We no longer have their pick, the Sixers, next year, so they absolutely want to try to hit. They hired a new coach yet again. That team has been like the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. I mean, just overhaul and overhaul and overhaul so many coaches. I mean, you wonder why their players haven't been able to get established in the system. They suck. I thought they had a really good draft last year. Getting Fox, I think he's going to be a really good point guard. He's awesome. He can really pick up the pace, run and gun. And who would work well with that? Taking him, you would all think it would be Luka Doncic because they hired his coach from. I think he's the first coach I know that's been hired out that wasn't born in the NBA. But I think it was Slovenia, if I'm not mistaken. But it would be a match made in heaven, but they're not going to. I know the Kings are not high on him; they're really down, and reports are saying that the Kings are really interested in Marvin Bagley. I think that kid is a beast. He really reminds me of Mari Stoudemire. He's not great defensively, doesn't really have an outside jump or anything, but he's going to rebound the crap out of the ball, and he's a high flyer. He's super athletic. He can shoot a little bit, but not really. Doesn't really rely on that. He relies on his athleticism, running and gunning. Well, you pair that with Fox, could it be like the days of the Suns back in the day with Amari and Steve Nash? Now, Fox is not the caliber Steve Nash was, but they've got to get some real good established players there because they've been so bad with freaking draft picks. Awful. They have missed and missed and missed and missed, and they've reached for guys. Yeah, Vlade Divac is like flying off his rocker. I don't think he really knows what the hell he's doing. He's trading away, wheeling and dealing picks like he gave us that gem a few years ago, which now Boston Celtics have, unfortunately. But if you team him up, Fox and Bagley, that's going to be a really nice pair. Get some butts in the seats. They have Buddy Hield there, so you got a guy who's going to be able to stretch the floor. And there's a guy in this draft that reminds me a little bit of Buddy Hield. I think you all know who I'm talking about. Trae Young. And I don't know, just because he doesn't really play defense, he was outstanding in college, player of the year, yada, 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 could shoot from anywhere, and really didn't translate to the NBA. You see somebody like that, and it's always Steph Curry comparisons. Steph Curry comparisons. Well, I never saw that, and I don't really think Trey Young is a Steph Curry comparison either. But the Kings, what are they going to do? They're always a wild card. Could they trade out if they don't want their guy? But I think Bagley go. My God, why do I keep calling Bagley? Bagley goes at 2. Now we have Atlanta sitting at number 3. They were hoping to definitely jump into the top 2. The Phoenix was the worst team last year, so they got the top pick. But who was leapfrogged was Atlanta and the Grizzlies by the Kings. Their record wasn't as bad as them, and they got lucky and were able to own that pick at number 1 too. But Atlanta's still in a good position. A few years ago, they were a 60-win team, really good. They broke that banjo up. Jeff Teague was out of there. He left, and Horford left, and they were left with the Mad Dog left. He went up to Toronto, and I think he's with the Nets. But you're left with Dennis Schroeder, who's a really good piece. He's only 24 years old, but he's disgruntled. What are you going to do with him? I think they should try to trade him. You try to rebuild. They got a nice piece last year in John Collins. He's not going to be a centerpiece that you build around. And what is the theme of this year's draft? It's big men. It's a ton of them. And they all fit the mold of this new NBA where they run and gun. They can stretch the floor. They're not just down on the block. It's not like them old school centers anymore. And it's going to really make or break a lot of GMs this year. So what is Atlanta going to do? Are they going to try to rebuild and get a guard in there? But what do you do if Dennis Schroeder is there? I don't think so. I still think they could possibly they could trade out if they really liked, let's say, a Trey Young. I know they probably were really high on him, but you don't want to reach and take him with the 3rd overall pick. If I was Atlanta, I'd still stay there and take Jaren Jackson Jr. out of Michigan State. That kid's a complete freak. He's awesome. He can stretch the floor. He can rebound. He can block shots. I think he led the league right behind Bamba and block shots close to 4 a game. He's an absolute monster. His dad played in the NBA too. And they really need to have an identity down there in Atlanta. So you get a Jaren Jackson Jr., you start rebounding him, you kick John Collins, who you took last year, over to the 4 spot. You got 2 twin towers that you can really build around. Plus, you still have Dennis Schroeder there, like I said. Winning cures everything. It really does. So if you really try to take a guard in there, I think it's going to make him even more disgruntled than he is. Problem is he has a huge contract. I think he's got $46 million left on his deal. So if you're going to try to trade him, you're going to have to do something about that contract. Find a partner, dozy it up. They've got 3 first-round picks too, so they have a lot to work with. You could rebuild this team and be back in the Eastern Conference within 2 or 3 years. They just got to really hit on this pick. And I think they do. They unfortunately got rid of Mike Budenholzer. I thought it was a good coach. Came from that Spurs tree. But everything's changed down there in Atlanta. They're not that team that was just good enough to do good during the regular season and then get knocked out by LeBron James. Everybody's fallen to that curse. But I still say you take a big man in there and you build from the inside out. Now you got number 4, Memphis. What are they going to do? God. They've had freaking Mike Conley there and Gasol for the longest time, Marc Gasol. Grindhouse with Zebo. Awesome in the Eastern Conference. They grinded everything out. I mean, they stuck in a really tough conference all them years with not really having a superstar player. They just literally was the emphasis of that nickname, just grinding everything out. Slow-paced, getting rebounds, half-court offense. They got some youth in there, though. I really wanted to change it up. This season, they really were more of a run-and-gun team. It really wasn't just that half-court set. Mike Conley got hurt. You got to look for a replacement right here. Same with Marc Gasol. They're getting up there in age, a little long in the tooth. So who's left on the board at this point? You still got Doncic, who's probably the most NBA-ready in the draft. Do you really take a risk on him? Or do you go with a kid in MPJ? Michael Porter Jr., who is by far was the consensus number 1 before he got hurt when he was at Missouri. And I think that's going to make his stock fall a little bit, even though he's probably the best NBA prospect in here with his ability to be able to handle the ball, shoot the rock. You kind of like a poor man's Ben Simmons a little bit, but that can actually shoot. So do they really take a chance on him? I don't know if they do. Because why do you really want to risk getting another injured player? Don't forget about Chandler Parsons, who they signed 2 years ago to that huge contract. It was like $95 million. And what has he played, like 30 games for them? Do you really want to take a risk on another forward that is injury prone? I don't think so. I think they want to, hit the reset button out there. Give what's left of really Mike Conley's career, Marcus Saul. Maybe they can try to trade those guys off during the season to really truly reboot this thing. And if I was them, I'd go with the best prospect on the board that isn't hurt in Luka Doncic. Get some butts in those seats and just, become a really fun team to watch. Run and gun with Mike Conley back in there and Doncic, who can do a little bit of everything. Okay, number 5, and Grizzlies could also trade out at this point. I think a lot of teams want to trade up. There's been rumors of the Sixers trying to trade up. Chicago really wants to trade up for players. It really remains anonymous. I don't know. If the Sixers do trade up, I really think they're going to try to trace Trae Young, which I hope not, because I don't want any parts of Trae Young at all. Yeah, he's got mad range, but he plays absolutely no defense. He's a turnover machine. And I thought that was a lot of flash, like lightning in a bottle there for him out there in college. It reminds me a lot of Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield was the same way, same type of player, and kind of fizzled out when he came into the NBA. Nothing too great. Can shoot the ball a little bit, but, you guys remember Jimmer Fredette too? Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't see the Steph Curry comparisons at all. Just because the dude was making crazy shots at the beginning of the year from like 30 feet. Like, come on. Really? Anyway, number 5, we've got Dallas sitting in there, number 5. What do they need? They've needed a centerpiece there for the longest time. A hole left by Chandler when they won the championship back in 2011. You want a guy that's going to be able to hold down the middle, protect the rim. They had a great draft pick last year in Dennis Smith Jr. I wasn't really a fan of Dennis Smith, and I had to really eat crow on this because the dude showed very something special. So, I'm man enough to really own that up and say I was wrong about Dennis Smith Jr. The dude's a baller. I think he's going to be a really good player in this league, possibly even superstar potential. So, Mark Cuban got a really great pick there. I don't know if going with Mamba is a reach there. I don't think I would take a guy he's got freakish length. I think it's 7'9". It's something unbelievable. He had the most blocks in the NCAA. It was between him and Jaren Jackson Jr. But, what else can he do? You look at it, Clint Capella, okay? He was a really low draft pick. Do you really want to spend a number 5 overall draft pick on a guy that really just blocks shots and can dunk? Think about Willie Cauley-Stein when he came out. The Kings took him with the number 6 overall pick, which I thought was a huge reach. You don't really want to take a chance on a guy like that. It's really just like a one-trick pony. So I think Mavericks look to really trade out, or they take a chance on Michael Porter Jr. At this point, it makes sense. They're not going to really be competing in the Western Conference. They have time for him to really shore up and let himself heal and turn into the player that he should become. I think Michael Porter Jr. is going to be awesome. So take a page out of our book. You draft a guy that's got a little bit of an injury history. Embiid. Look what happened with that, right? That was a diamond in the rough. So maybe Mark Cuban's smart enough to really, follow the footsteps of Sam Hinkie and tank. He's been on record as saying that, getting fined. But you take MPG right there, Michael Porter Jr., pair him with Dennis Smith, and you got a really young and upcoming exciting duo for years to come. Mark Cuban's a smart guy. He's not going to be stupid. If they don't decide to do that, and there's a lot of eager teams looking to trade up, like the Sixers, like Chicago, we got to see what kind of firepower they're going to offer them. Mark Cuban's going to listen. The Sixers have been on record of trying to trade up. I really like the deal that Memphis was offering. If you look at it, you take on Chandler Parsons, the rest of his deal. I'm not sure how much it is that's left on there. I want to say about $45 million-ish. You get that 4th pick. And maybe there's some other strings attached. I don't know if you have to throw a 2nd round pick in there or possibly another player to really sweeten the deal. But I think that's worth it. Why not? We've got some cap space to work with. If you want to, and we didn't have to give up like a guy like Fultz, or it wouldn't take that much ammunition to jump up that high if that's all that the deal is. It seems kind of a little too good to be true, but if that's all they're going to be asking for to eat up some of his contract, do it. Who cares? Eat it up, cut his ass, and we'll get that fourth pick and get that player that we've been chasing. I still think it is Trey Young, and I'm praying to God that that's not who they're trying to trade up for. Um, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be a crazy offseason this year and draft 2 days away. If we do just end up staying put, if Bridges falls to us, Mikal Bridges, I don't know if he would, because I feel like New York would really stiff us and take him. That would be a great fit for the Knicks to take Bridges, but that would be my top five so far. Tomorrow I'm gonna do the rest from 6 to 10. Just do the top 10. I'll do the lottery actually. So I'll do it all the way to 14. But the theme this year is big men, and there's not really anybody separating themselves to be a surefire superstar. I definitely think Aiton's the number one overall pick, but during the year I saw him be real lackadaisical. So he knew he was going to be the number one overall pick. He didn't try in the tournament. And though I don't like to gauge a guy saying that, oh, he didn't take his team to the tournament, he didn't do this and that, I don't think it really matters. I think it's a bunch of crap. So I don't like to use that excuse because Jahlil Okafor took his team all the way to the national championship and won it, and look how well that worked. So for people ragging on Fultz and Simmons, saying they didn't bring their teams to the NCAA tournament, who cares? Look at the guys that have taken their team all the way there and won it. Like that argument has no foundation. So, I mean, I don't know what the Sixers are going to do. I hope they do make a big splash. Who are your favorite draft and stash guys in this draft? Sean, I don't watch European basketball, so I couldn't even really comment on that. I don't even have anything to say really about Luka Doncic. I haven't got to see him play at all, and I'm not just going to watch YouTube videos and make a comment about that because it's all highlights anyway. So, in my opinion, I really can't say anything about these European players, unfortunately. Danza Musa. What do you all feel? Do you think that's kind of an accurate 1 to 5 so far, how you think it would play out? Or is you think somebody would go above it? Is MPG going to fall? Michael Porter Jr. going to fall at all? Or do you still think he goes top 5? I still think he goes top 5. I would love for him to fall to us. But that's just me. You got to wait another while for a guy that's injury. I don't know if I want to trade all the way up in the top 5. If he fell to 10, I'd take him, but I'm not trading up to get him. Watch out for Zaire Smith would be dope, dude. Awesome. Lockdown defender, can hit the open shot. I'm not trading up for him, though, Philly 2004. Who do y'all think we're trading up for? Who is the eye? Who do the Sixers have their eye on? Eye on the prize that they love so much, and what are they willing to give up to get him? And if it is Fultz in that deal, we got a second workout with him. You think they're going to trade up in the top 5 to get Zaire Smith? I don't know about that. Or are you saying if we stayed at 10, that's who we're going to take? And Bridges is gone. Bridges would make too much sense because his mom works within the Sixers organization. He's a Philly boy. He went to Nova, obviously. Oh, not 10. Okay. The GM candidate, Fultz must stay. I agree, Denton, 428. I'm not getting rid of Fultz. He better not be in this deal. If we are trading up, they better figure something else out to wheel and deal to get up into the top 5. I'm not giving up on Fultz. I'll be so pissed off if they do that. But the leading candidate, I still think it's going to be David Griffin. He seems to be the leading candidate for any GM. If we were able to get what's-his-face from Boston, that would be insane. If we're trading up either MPG or Jaren Jackson, I'd love Jaren Jackson here. I hope that's who it would be. Yeah, Mike Zarin, thank you. Couldn't think of his name. Yeah, Jaren Jackson would be my top guy on the list to really trade up and get. I just have a feeling they're in love with freaking Trae Young. Oh, my God. I don't know if we'd trade up to get Michael Porter Jr. just because he's hurt. It wouldn't make much sense to trade up and give up all that. You want to have a guy that's going to be able to impact your team now. Who's that? Philly 02 24. Zaire Smith. Get rid of Rocco then. If we keep that pick. Oh yeah, Jackson's a beast. I'm sorry. I'm like totally not on the same page as you. Yeah, he's a monster. And I think he's a lot more to offer than Bamba. Yeah, like Bamba's got freakish athleticism and length and everything, but he's like a one-trick pony. And I don't know how he's projected to go in the top five just because of that. And you want a shot blocker, you know they're a premium in this league, but if they're so limited on offense, like they're kind of a wasted player out there. A la Nerlens Noel. I don't know, man. That's not what I've been hearing. I have a feeling they're like a sneaky dark horse to take freaking Trey Young. I just have this awful feeling that we're gonna trade up to get him. I know it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm praying that's not what we do. But if you look at Jackson, that's yet another big man. It could be an insurance for Embiid because we have literally no backup center when he does go out. So having Jackson in there to learn from him or even split time with him would be a match made in heaven. He is overrated, I know. He sucks. If y'all watched him in the tournament, everybody's so obsessed about taking their team to the tournament, and they were right on the bubble, and they got in. So you think they're going after Luca? I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I can't, again, comment because I haven't seen him play. I, but what I've seen, that's another ball handler. Isn't he kind of like a Simmons? Luka Doncic took 40 shots a game. I know he's a ball hog. And he did, like I said, he was like lightning in a bottle. Because he was leading that team that had like no NBA talent on it other than himself. And he was making these crazy shots, a la like Steph Curry did with Davidson way back when. And then he just hit a rut. He couldn't make anything. Teams adjusted. They knew what he was going to do, and he did nothing. He was turning the ball over like 6 times a game, maybe even more than that. I'm not impressed. That's a Kings pick right there. To trade up and take a guy like him. Concerned about Doncic's athleticism for a guard in his D. I know he can shoot the ball a little bit. Doncic, he's like what 6'8". He can he's got a handle. He's got great vision. He can shoot a little bit. I heard comparison to Ben Simmons. I don't know if anybody can comment on that. I don't know. Them European players, it's so tough. Just because I don't watch European basketball and you don't want to just watch stuff on YouTube. But to have Jaren Jackson in here, a guy that's got, super athleticism, a lot of length, can rebound. Like, we were one of the top rebounding teams in the league, and to add a player like that, if we do trade up, I think it'd be the juice would be worth the squeeze to go up and get him. And we still can rely on Fultz. So trading up for, like I said before, trading up for Trey Young wouldn't make any sense because you got Fultz who can do all that stuff. He's a ball handler. He can get to the 10 at will. He can't shoot. Trey Young's a much better shooter than Fultz, but I'd rather have Fultz's length and everything else on our side rather than going and get a guy that can just jack up threes. Like, you have Buddy Hield. If you're going to do anything, just trade him. Trade for him. Just get Buddy Hield if that's what you're really looking for. I'd rather have Buddy Hield than Trey Young. But Jaren Jackson, dude, being on this team, woo! You'd have the two leading shot blockers in the league, Twin Towers, a la the Spurs back in 03, with the Admiral and Timmy D. And this whole Kawhi Leonard thing, I don't know if the Spurs are even going to trade him. They're going to wait this out. They're a very smart organization. So for him to even... I don't think he would come here anyway. I know the reports has been saying the Sixers are interested in going after him, and he does make a lot of sense to come here. But, like, think about what you'd have to give up to get him. And you're giving up so much. You're basically giving up the future and a lot of what we gave up to go get Fultz to possibly have a one-year rental. So think about what we gave up to get Fultz. And then you're just going to trade Fultz to get Leonard, who could be, in turn, just a one-year rental anyway. There's no guarantees he would sign here. But R.C. Buford and Pop are going to do their things. They haven't even talked to Leonard yet. They might end up re-signing him because remember who was disgruntled last year? Aldridge. He didn't want to stay there. He wanted to leave. Fast forward, what happened? What ended up happening? He talked to Pop. He talked to Buford. He ended up signing an extension and staying with the team. So don't underestimate the powers of Popovich and R.C. Buford and that great organization out there in San Antonio. There's a lot of feathers ruffled out there right now, but they know what they're doing. And if they find out where they're going to lose Kawhi Leonard, they'll just trade him. But they're going to wait to see what happens in free agency. No doubt about it. And don't be surprised, guys, too, if the Sixers don't end up doing anything. Because I don't think we're going to get Land LeBron. We might have a chance at Paul George, but probably not. It might be a very, very quiet offseason for the Sixers. I don't think we're going to get after LeBron. Don't think we're going to get him. He's probably going to maybe go out to L.A. How crazy would it be, though, if Spurs traded Kawhi to L.A. and then they ended up getting Ingram, Kuzma. Lonzo Ball ain't going there. They don't want that circus with LeVar. But, yeah, it's going to be a crazy offseason. I can't wait. The draft first. Could be a lot of wheeling and dealing. Me and Adrian had the draft last year. And it was kind of cool. There wasn't that many trades in the top half like we expected it to be. There was that big one with Jimmy Butler going there. Going to, from Chicago to Minnesota. Spurs ain't trading Kawhi to L.A. Pop hates Lakers. Well, I don't know if Pop has that. I sub mine, sub him back, bro. Please. Well, I'm sorry, what? What was that? Yeah, I don't know if Pop has final say on that, though. You know what I mean, Philly? 024. He wants to go there. I know that it usually doesn't happen. You listen to a player where he wants to go because they don't really care. But imagine they're going to wait to see where LeBron goes. You know? So if you just... And they're... Hopefully he stays in the East for them, for their sake. Because I'm sure they don't want to team up, have a team with LeBron, Kawhi on it, and then possibly Paul George, and then having to go up against them. They're not dumb. Dude, Bron, I don't think Bron's coming here, dude. I don't think so. I don't know where he's going to go. I think he might go west. Either L.A. or Houston. I know he was in Houston today. But who knows where he's going to go. It's going to be quite an off-season. Yeah, I know he wants to win. So that's going to determine where he's going to go. If he does want to win, I mean... Golden State! Nah, that shit would be corny. I mean, the league's pretty much watered down as is. Imagine if he did go to Golden State. Alright, I'm just rambling now. I'm sorry. Just talking a little basketball. But, yeah, that's my top 5 for the draft so far. I'll be doing 6 to 10 tomorrow. Maybe I'll just do 6 to 14. We'll have to see how it goes. But it's going to be a crazy draft 2 days away. The wait will finally be over. Are we going to trade up into the top 5? I think we're going to see some wheeling and dealing, guys. There's a couple teams up there in the top 4 that definitely want to trade down. Have their eyes on a player and want to collect more picks. There's a few teams, Atlanta, Phoenix, Philly, that have multiple first-round picks. So we're going to have to see what happens. And who's going to have new faces. And where is LeBron James going to go? It's like a few years ago. It's like, is he going to stay in Cleveland or go somewhere else? It's like the whole Miami decision. It's going to be like that all over again. Is it going to be worth the wait? But I don't think LeBron's coming to Philly, unfortunately. I know a lot of people were sad about that, but it's all right. We don't need him. We don't need him. It's fine. Even if we did get him, we couldn't beat Golden State anyway. I'd rather have build through the draft and just go at it that way, trying to trade up to get. Leave it in the comment section. All right, guys, I'm out. Peace.